You know the idea where you're dreaming at night, and this has happened before actually. Like you're on stage and you find yourself naked, and you get really embarrassed. Um, then you wake up and you're just like, oh gosh, it was a dream. Well, the thing about that is that sometimes that happens a lot. Actually, when you have like social anxiety, you feel like that happens quite a bit. So you'll uh, and I don't know if it's just my anxiety, my ADHD, or whatever. But I'll do things at work, like for attention, right? You're selfish. You're wanting the attention. You're wanting to fill that need, that drug, right? And you have this idea that you think will be funny, and and it very well could be. Don't get me wrong. But the problem is when you get into the position to actually deliver it, um, you have this sense of embarrassment come on, or at least I do. And I get really embarrassed, and it either A, falls flat, or B, I just run away from it and I don't even try. And that's been a regular thing my whole life, and I don't know where that stems from. Um, I think I've had too many situations where uh, I'm not good socially and I've been made fun of, or I skipped that part and I've just made fun of myself initially so that I could break the ice that way. So self deprecating humor. Um, I think a lot of it comes back to my stutter again. You know, having a stutter growing up really does a number on you. I don't think it's still not very acceptable. Such an outward thing that as a kid, as a young kid, you're not so judgmental, but if you have a stutter through later in elementary school or in middle school, which I did, even through high school, even later, actually, I think it carried on into my early 20s with my stutter. And sometimes when I get nervous, I'll hang on the words again. It comes back. Or embarrassed. Or you'll get caught off guard. It kind of can come back, and that's normal. I think you revert back to those times where you remember being made fun of, or um, I don't know, getting bullied for it. I feel like it's different now because people don't really talk together. They just type, and typing can save you from that. I mean, there's different kinds of bullying now. People are attached to people's responses in a very informal, indirect setting through texting, through typing, all of that stuff, and that can create a lot more anxiety. But for me growing up, it was getting picked on, getting bullied, uh, feeling isolated and alone, having no friends because of the way that I talked. And I think that's pretty normal for ADHD kids to have a stutter. I think just the way that your brain is working, I don't know all of the science behind it. I just know that I had it, and it was a really hard childhood because of that, especially being chubby. So chubby, stuttering. It wasn't as big of a thing for me growing up in the 90s. So uh, fat kids, obesity, childhood obesity, that kind of thing was very looked down upon then. Was not as acceptable as it is today. It was not nearly as prevalent, and so I really didn't feel like I fit in that way. And that still carries on today, even though more of us are afflicted by it. It's becoming more common, but I feel like the bullying and the judgment is still there. You know, I I was on Ritalin growing up. I didn't really get into Adderall. They didn't really have that when I was young. They just had Ritalin, and it helped a lot. I don't think it helped with the eating thing. I still, as far as I remember, felt like I was overweight. And I really started putting on the weight in middle school and high school. Maybe it's because I stopped taking it. I don't know. I don't know if I really stopped. My grades were doing okay, so I had stopped taking it because of that. Part of me wishes maybe I should have stayed on it. I don't know. Maybe that would have changed things. My stuttering didn't just go away as I grew. I had to actually work on it. I had to, I don't know, picture the word that I was going to say it. And what I would do to overcome stuttering was that I would hold the first sound. So if it was an ST sound, I would hold the S instead of the ST. Because if I tried to go forward with it from the ST to the next one, it would stutter. But if I would hold the S, stutter, doing that actually helped me a lot. I mean, it sounded kind of weird, and I still have a little stutter when I talk today, but whatever. I don't care about it now. I use other things as filler. I feel like I still have the stutter thing. I just have to use other words to fill my time with it, and I think that prevents me from stuttering too. That and the whole silence issue that I have in a conversation. And maybe the silence issue that I have with being afraid of silence, maybe that's connected to the stutter. I don't really know. Maybe I got so scared of silence in a conversation, or so just paranoid over what's being said, or the kind of attention that's going around in a social interaction, that I don't know, just became so paranoid of the silence. It's almost like when things go silent that everybody's judging you, which used to be the case. A lot of times I would have a lot of negative attention towards me because of me. And this carried on to high school a lot. I was the one that people would make fun of all the time in the group. I was always the one that was getting made fun of, no matter, every group that I was in throughout elementary, middle school, and high school. I just didn't have any friends or any groups in elementary school and middle school as well. It wasn't until high school that I found groups of friends. But when I did, I was the brunt of the joke. And some of that turned into self-induced. So no wonder when I got to college, I was a mess. I didn't know who I was. All I knew was what I had gone through. Getting pushed around. I think that pushed me to go into football. I felt like I would overcome these things with football, which actually I think it helped, the organized sport. Not that I made some friends through there, but I was still second string. I was too short for it. I was big, I was strong, I was one of the strongest kids on the team, but I was too short. And I actually got decent grades, so people kind of, I don't know, I guess I was a nerd. Video games weren't as, I don't know. Just a mess. I blame it on my personality. It was just too much for people. I was attention seeking. I had a little bit of a stutter. I was weird. I was overweight. Maybe I was awkward. The only thing that really got me friends was self-deprecation. Being the comic in the group, either on purpose or just by default. And so that really never affected me very good. I think I went through a lot of depression in high school because of that. You feel alone. When you're the center of the attention and it's negative attention, you feel very alone. And you don't feel good about yourself, and you feel like these things are true that they're saying. And you believe it, and of course, all of this stuff carries into adulthood. I believe so full-heartedly that, the crap that you have to deal with as a child, what abuses, what neglect, will afflict you for the rest of your life in some way or another. your career, everything. And it's a shame.